The Dictionary of Real Estate Appraisal, Chapter R, continued, page 196. Remnant. A remainder that has negligible economic utility or value due to its size, shape, or other detrimental characteristics, also called uneconomic remainder or uneconomic remnant. See also remainder. Remodeling. A type of renovation that involves modification or updating of its existing improvements. Renegotiation of a lease. To arrive at a new set of lease terms, either upon termination of an existing lease or at some point during the lease term, generally for the purpose of revising the annual rent. Lease provisions often stipulate that the revision of rent should be based on mutual agreement. Index leases provide for rent revision at specific intervals based on changes in the cost of living index or some other index. Revaluation leases call for rent adjustments based on a set rate of return on the appraised value of the property under market rental conditions at the time of the revaluation. See also lease and rent. Renewal. A new lease entered into by an existing tenant upon expiration of their original lease term, not to be confused with renewal option. Renewal option. An agreement entered into at the time of the original lease providing the tenant with the right, but not the obligation, for the tenant to extend the lease term for a specified time at a rent specified in the option agreement or at the market rate at the time of renewal. Renewal probability. The probability expressed as a percentage or a decimal equivalent that an existing tenant will enter into a new lease or extend an existing lease upon expiration of a current lease. Renovation. The process in which older structures or historic buildings are modernized, remodeled, or restored. Generally, the objective of renovation is to maintain or restore the basic plan and style of a building rather than to modify the original design by accretions or alterations, though new construction often accompanies restoration. Renovation is closely associated with urban renewal and may encompass the development of facilities to serve the community. See also modernization and rehabilitation, and remodeling and restoration. Rent. An amount paid for the use of land, improvements, or a capital good. Rentable area. For office or retail buildings, the tenant's pro rata portion of the entire office floor, excluding elements of the building that penetrate through the floor to the areas below. The rentable area of a floor is computed by measuring to the inside finished surface of the dominant portion of the permanent building walls, excluding any major vertical penetrations of the floor. Alternatively, the amount of space on which the rent is based, calculated according to local practice. Rental requirement. A condition in a commitment letter that stipulates that a certain amount of space must be rented at a minimum rental rate if the entire loan amount is to be funded. Rent concession. An inducement for a tenant to lease space, sometimes but not always, observed in overbuilt markets, which can include above standard TIs, free rent, moving cost reimbursement or credit, and buyout of the tenant's existing lease. Concessions are an integral part of the definition of market rent, also called rent offset. Rent control, a legal regulation that specifies the maximum rental payment for the use of property. Rent escalation, see escalation clause.